right, I think I'm ready. Okay, so there are a lot of businesses out there right now who are desperately hurting, struggling with crazy economic situations. The unemployment in this country is pretty wild. The amount of discretionary income is gotten very much lower. Um, the divide between the super rich and the poor is getting really wide. Like the middle class is just disappearing. And anyway, so even my buddies in the direct marketing universe are kind of complaining that response rates are down. And they do not rely on necessities of spending. Like if your toilet goes out, you gotta fix that thing. If your refrigerator is empty, you gotta fill it. Those are necessities, right? But my friends in the direct marketing universe, they're selling ideas and income opportunities and information. And they're noticing that response rates are down universally, right? What can be done? What can be done? So I believe that we can make the argument that that throughout history, the people who survive the best are the direct marketers. If you don't measure your advertising results immediately, then you will actually get in more trouble with your business. Most businesses that are not direct response oriented, they don't measure results. They don't even know how to measure until they kind of measure at the year end when they finally do their books and they look at the balance sheet, assets and liabilities and expenditures. They kind of get a feel. But it's the direct marketers who know within days if an ad is working or not. And that's the beginning of measuring, because once you know that your ad has a good payoff on the return and investment, then you can know how much to spend on inventory, sales support. Then you can start making projections on expansion, whether or not it'd be worth it, or cutting back, unloading that expensive office. So if you recently got a notice, let's say you're a chiropractor, you recently got a notice that the landlord is going to double your rent from $2,000 a month to $4,000 a month. How do you deal with it? Do you just buck it up and think that you're going to crack more backs and make up, or are you going to have to raise the prices of your back cracking services? Or are you just going to eat it? Make $2,000 a month less in your own pocket, right? But nobody can do that. You can't stay in business and not make a profit. So again, let's go over the two grand marketing strategies that anybody can and should use, even if you don't know any other strategies. And there's plenty of marketing strategies, right? Everything from buy one, get one free, that's a strategy. To send for this free report, that's a strategy. To having the marketing huevos to charge for everything. Like Monica Main says, buy it or beat it. No free information, no free test drives, no free tire kickers. Buy it or beat it. Anyway, so in the grand scheme of things, I think there are two large marketing ideas that you need to implement. One, we've talked about this before. One is to make use of long-winded ads, because people will not read short ads. I'm sorry. People will not read long-winded ads, but prospects will read long-winded ads, and you're not ever having a mentality that you're advertising to people. You're actually and always advertising to prospects. And prospects need information in order to make up their mind. And if you convince a prospect 80% of the way to buy your product or service, that's still not enough. They need to be 100% convinced. So that's why you should lean toward the idea of long-winded ads and not short ads, because prospects are hungry for information and will read any amount of copy as long as it's interesting and helpful. Strategy number 2, you get their name and address somehow. Whether you're advertising a free report or whether you're advertising in a given 3-mile radius of a neighborhood, that's where your business is, however you get their names. Once you get the names and addresses, then you never let them go. You mail to them on a regular basis, and you cannot mail enough. You cannot overmail. Okay, and you can have a wholesale business, a retail business, professional services. These two strategies cover any kind of business. Mail a lot, and also make use of long-winded material in order to convince somebody that they need to do the job, to do a thorough selling job. Now, I suppose we can think aloud about various media that you could use. Since, relatively speaking, nobody uses Yellow Pages anymore. They hardly use newspapers. Everybody's fascinated with Facebook advertising and pay-per-clicks and AdWords, Google AdWords, and pay-per-clicks on Bing and so forth. What about renting other people's mailing lists? Because there's still people out there who will rent names to you. I mean, they've profitably sold this and that to those names, and renting those names would be an additional source of income for them. And anyway, and I also wanted to remind you that still direct mail, real snail mail, is a real darling, overlooked marketing medium in this day of all kinds of marketing channels. And here I am talking to you on YouTube, and I know that YouTube doesn't work, so why am I marketing on YouTube and talking to you about my consulting service? Because I don't expect much of it. I don't want much out of it. If I really wanted to gin up my advertising agency and marketing services again, I would use a different strategy. I would use direct mail. But I don't know how you found this ad. I mean, if you want to call this an ad, this chit chat. You know, I do still help a few clients as long as they're somewhat educated about direct response techniques, so I don't have to hold their hand and argue with them about matters. Digital gold. Welcome. So, since I know that I'm not going to get a huge response off of this damn YouTube chit chat that we're doing, I can do anything I want and talk any way I want. So, let me tell you something I discovered in the last few years in my copywriting services. Years and years ago, it seemed that benefit-driven headlines were the hot thing to do, you know. You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. But here lately, in the past 3 years, and with the clients that I still work for, I've begun to use openings and headlines that are extremely believable, almost as if I'm a Canadian that says in conversation, "Nice weather, eh?" There's nothing offensive about saying nice weather, eh? Because you can believe that somebody is saying that it's nice weather and they're asking you for an agreement, right? And so in the last couple of years, I have written some really cool packages, and some of them have gotten as much as a 20% response. I mean, cash in the mail response. And these were direct mail, that, you know, a very tough marketing medium to overcome. And if you get a 20% response in the mail, you're kicking ass. Anyway, but I've been doing it by making my lead, my opening, my headline to be a believable headline. So instead of announcing a new product that will increase your health, your energy, your sex life, and also make you money, that's like an over-the-top, unbelievable promise. So one of the headlines I was using said, "Dear Fred, I'm looking for people who have back problems." Well, that is believable. That's believable that I am looking for people who have back problems. Anyway, it's better than saying, "Dear Fred, I have an amazing cure for backaches." Because, of course, in regular old advertising, dynamics, every sentence, the purpose of every sentence is to lead you into the next sentence. And so you want to build one sentence on top of the next sentence. And if you say something up at the front in the headline area or in the opening paragraph that's too over the top with promises, they stop reading. But you want to say something that is believable to get them all the way down to the end. Direct mail is what I want to focus on, but mostly I do landing pages and company stories. All right. Speaking of company stories and landing pages, broadly speaking, I would say that you need every story to be a 5-part structure. So you can write it down. Go ahead and write it down. Part 1 is their problem, not your problem. Their problem. Part 2 is your solution. Part 3 is the benefits of your solution. And part 4 is the proof that they will get the benefits. And part 5 is the call to action. Now, for variety's sake, you don't have to have all 5 parts in that exact order. You can jump it all around to make it interesting. You can have the call to action up front, and then you can have their problem, your solution, the benefits of the solution, and the proof that they'll get the benefits. And then, of course, the call to action again. But you don't have to have them in that order, but you have to have all 5 of those parts in order for it to be a complete sales message, which would be approaching a 100% believable story. If it's not 100% believable, then you're not going to get the sale. And that opening, their problem, that's what they're interested in most. Their own little lives, now they can solve their problem. And if you can even identify with their problem, oh my God, you look charming and magical that you would even know what their problem is. You're like a Svengoolie. Because they're all concerned about their own life, and along comes you selling something to them that will actually solve their problem. Oh my God. That gives you you're almost 80% there in the Svengoolie power. So, so there are actually 31 different selling stratagems that you can use to make a complete selling message. And let's see, I'll rip off some of them now so you can have an idea. And I get these 31 selling stratagems from that old Clyde Bedell work course called How to Convert White Space into Advertising That Sells. I've been using that. That course came out in 1964. It's hard to find. I doubt you can find it anywhere now because both Mr. Bedell died and his son died last year. And so here's some things I can remember off the top of my head as far as what those stratagems are, 31 of them. In the headline department, there's 5. There's promise, benefits, use the word you and your. Use news, use curiosity if you can do it appropriately, because sometimes, a lot of people out there misuse curiosity. They go down the wrong road. Let's see, there's one more. What would it be? Promise, benefits, yeah, of course. And then, let's see, after that, there's some of the elements that would be enlarge on the headline, make your main point 3 times, use testimonials as part of the give proof of benefits, tell who uses it and why. Oh, here's one. Show the ills avoided by purchasing whatever it is you're selling. Show the ills avoided. That is a really powerful technique. And there were a lot of years in my copywriting career that I would include a lot of the 31 elements, but somehow it would just go right over my head to I'd forget about this thing about showing the ills avoided. But I've also, in the later years when I've disciplined myself to remember all the elements, and I put that in there, showing the ills avoided, I saw better results for the whole story. Because people do want, benefits for whatever it is their industry that you're selling, but they do want to avoid the ills too. It's a pretty powerful element. Keep it in mind. You'll do well with it all. And then let's see what else. There's some call to action stuff. Give them instructions, specific instructions on how to respond, when to respond. Put time limits on it, right at the last of your ad, you would do a wrap up. So generally speaking, I like to keep my sentences 7 words or less. And when you do the general wrap up, that can be a long-winded sentence, like 50 words or maybe even 100 words, because you're just wrapping up the whole story all over again. A breathless sentence, we might call it. Breathless. So you wrap it all up. Here's the deal in a nutshell, you might say. And then you wrap up everything that you've been talking about in your long-winded message. Put a time limit on how soon they must respond in order to get this and this and this. Anyway, so there's scientifically 31 different elements that you can use in your ad that would boost results. And then, of course, the more of these elements you use, the more you can expect a good result. Guarantees. Gotta have guarantees in there sometimes. Or you can brag that there are no guarantees. You take your own risk. I don't want to be bothered with crybabies who don't actually implement what I'm saying. Anyway, so how's that for digital gold? You think you can use some of those ideas to create your landing pages and company stories? For your funnels. Anyway, so there's a bunch of weird dynamics out there in the world that you're going to have to address. Not necessarily address in your marketing especially, but at least know that there are factors that influence your business whether you like it or not. Because let's say you go to Detroit in the year 2000. Now, I'm not sure if we can cover this, but at one time, Detroit had 3 million population. And then when a lot of people got sick of the politics and the taxes there, they just started leaving like gangbusters. 2 million people left Detroit. More than 2 million people left Detroit and moved somewhere. Texas, Florida, Arizona, who the hell knows where they left. But they left Detroit. Now, let's say you would go to Detroit and set up a business. Name your business. Plumbing business, bicycle repair shop, donut shop. Right at the peak of when Detroit was 3 million population. what in the hell what kind of marketing strategy are you going to have to survive a time period when people are leaving in such numbers? You're going to have to leave as well. Because marketing is all about markets. More than techniques and strategy, it's about following markets. And so if 2 million people leave Detroit and you think you're going to have a business there, even a McDonald's franchise, and you're going to do well no matter what, you're just kidding yourself. Marketing is about markets. And as a good marketer, you need to understand where the market is, not only physically located, but also where they are mentally and what they are aware of mentally, and how their awareness is going to affect their buying decisions, so that you can ride along on the coattails of the mentality that they're already building in their own life, and the story that they're already building in their own life. So if there's 2 million people who are going to leave Detroit, and they've got their reasons for leaving, and their reasons are, I'm leaving because the union, the automobile manufacturing union, is paying $80 an hour, and I just can't compete with that and find good employees. For my donut shop, I can only pay $10 an hour. I can't just find any good employees because the damn union is paying 80. And then, there's people leaving because the taxes were too high and the government provided services were too low, like police protection and all that crap, right? So how do you tap into a mentality that's growing in their head? And they already believe it. So if you approach them with something they already believe and a mentality they already believe. Now suppose you had a donut shop in Detroit and you saw what was happening before it actually got, really going as a momentum. Suppose you saw it, the beginnings of it, and you sold your donut shop, took a loss on it, yeah, but you knew you were smart enough to sell it, and you opened up a U-Haul store where you rented out U-Haul trailers to help people move out of Detroit, and a moving company, a separate one, not even with your name on it, just give it a different name, a moving company. Oh, and a real estate agency that specialized in helping Detroiters find real estate in Arizona, Florida, and Texas. Oh, that would be cool. You could make a lot of money from a market that already has a mentality that had nothing to do with you. You're just riding it. But if you've got this mentality that you open up a donut shop or a bike repair business, and that's your life, you're so in love with the business of making and selling donuts, and you're so in love with bicycles, well, then you might get blindsided and go broke. And after you're broke, then you probably have to look into a new way of thinking. And I'm telling you, there's a great benefit into looking in the marketing universe, not just looking on specific marketing strategies and tactics on how to write the copy or what medium to use, whether Facebook advertising or YouTube advertising or PayPal or direct mail or old-fashioned newspapers. You can do old-fashioned newspapers. I've got access to an outfit that picks up remnant pages, and you can do a remnant page in something like, Ann Arbor, Michigan, in their newspaper that's still there, and you can pick up a full-page newspaper ad for $100 as a remnant page, because the newspapers, they're desperate to find advertisers, and they still have a circulation, as not everybody reads newspapers anymore, but there's still some people who do, and for $100 you can turn in an ad. Maybe it'll work. It's not much to risk, $100 to get in front of, say, 30,000 eyeballs in a newspaper ad situation for a remnant page. Just thinking. But anyway, so back to my thinking out loud about the market of Detroit, leaving Detroit. How do you tap into that mentality? Where do you, and so suppose, what if Detroitification happens all across the country? Aren't we seeing that in California, with plenty of people leaving California because they're sick of the taxes? So can we say Detroitification has happened in California? And New York. Don't forget New York. Anyway, so I don't know what kind of business you're in. Just thinking out loud about things. If you understand where a market is in their mind, in their heart, in their awareness of you and your competitors, it might help you to be able to strategically plant yourself in their mind as either the low-cost solution, the high-cost solution, the solution that brings you the most benefits, the solution that brings you the most convenience, the solution that is dedicated to helping veterans who have, the wounded warriors. I mean, there's angles. Oh, listen, if you want help thinking out loud about where you are and where you should go, one of the things I can provide for you is I can spend an hour with you on the phone and shoot you over 25 questions that I have found to be helpful, and we can talk on the phone for an hour and go over these questions and answer the questions, and it will give you, by answering the questions, it'll give you a very good back of the napkin business plan for the coming year. And it includes questions on strategies, tactics, and competition, and where the market is, and how the market is growing or shrinking, and what the market is thinking themselves. Anyway, it's a pretty cool 25 question survey that you and I answer together, because sometimes I know more about your market than you do. But either way, we answer them together. We write down the answers. I'm a pretty fast typer, so I'll keep up and write down the answers, and then after we're done, I'll email it over to you. There you go. A business plan for 2022. Anyway, so if you want to do that thing, let me know. See my email up there in the window. See, right there. Write to me. Put a few X's in the subject line too, because I still get plenty of emails that are annoying, so I wouldn't want to overlook yours. There you go. 35 minutes. Just thinking out loud about things. Now I'm going to do another video maybe later this week. I wanted to read to you guys some old real estate ads that ran in London that were very much story appeal. I've got this little book of some London ads that ran in the 60s, and they were ads that told crazy stories about the houses that were for sale, if there was any real history going on there. And this salesman, this real estate salesman, he was really a good, smart operator. He knew that all of his competitors would try and sell the real estate by just stating the facts. 2-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage. But this guy sold the houses with huge, crazy ass stories about the house, who lived there, ghosts, whether or not it was a house of prostitution at one time, all kinds of crazy stories, to the point where he ran the ads every Sunday in the London Times, where he developed a following, and people looked forward to grabbing the Sunday paper to read his antics. He developed quite a following, even of people who did not want to buy a house, but they were so loyal to reading his crazy stories that they referred the story to their friends, who referred it to friends who, he made a lot of money flipping real estate or selling it with this approach. Anyway, so I wanted to do that in an upcoming session with you, and I'll let you know when we're going to do it. Okay, gotta go. Thank you for showing up. Oh, and go ahead and leave a comment or two about things below. And if if you have any questions about marketing, let me know what your questions are, and maybe I can address them in a future video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.